Kia ora everybody and welcome to the Good Day Matrix. My name is Daz and I have the absolute privilege to sit here today with Ngawai Hawera in her beautiful home here in Hamilton. Ngawai is one of the most exceptional athletes and a natural talent to anything that she puts her hand to. She is a mother to the most beautiful little baby girl, Mile, who just turned 1. She is a personal trainer and she has a degree in sport and leisure and is just an all-around beautiful human, and I'm very grateful to be here. So thanks for having us.
Well, thanks for having me.
We're going to talk today about 5 pillars of wellness, of body, mind, identity, community and environment, because we feel that it's not just body and it's not just mind that we need to get right in order to be feeling happy for no reason. It's all those other elements that come too. So yeah, we're learning from everyone that we talk to about what you do in those elements, what's important to you and what works, and what you're doing with Mile to instill those things as well. So yeah, let's go. So we're going to focus on body first. You are bloody fierce. And I've seen you many times play sport, and you just a natural talent though to anything. I mean, you've done netball, you've done rugby, you've done touch. What else have you done that you are pretty great at?
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, is there anything now that you've stopped doing that you want to start doing again?
So one thing that I stopped doing before I obviously came home was group fitness training and personal training. So being home, I've had the opportunity to get back into that again. And one thing that I stopped doing probably, when was the last time? Maybe 3-4 years ago, was playing netball at a high level. So that's definitely something I want to get back into as well, and maybe a bit of study on the side too. Yeah.
What do you think about studying?
Well, I did want to do teaching, but I'm thinking more psychology, on the psychology side of things.
Nice.
Yeah, but we'll see.
Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. And it's really cool because often people have an assumption once we become mums that we kind of stop that drive to those other things. That's really, really cool.
Yeah.
I'm very proud of you. So Mile was Mile turned 1 recently, which when I couldn't believe it. Cause,
me too.
But in a year, you've had so many transitions in your life, from becoming a mum, COVID-19, moving to Japan, moving back from Japan, being away from your whānau. So what kind of mindset have you had to support yourself through all of those? Those are massive transitions.
Yeah, for sure. And it's probably, the last year since Miles been born has probably been mentally the hardest year of my life. So I would say I haven't just had one mindset. I've had a lot of different mindsets throughout the whole process. Obviously with COVID-19, a lot of people struggled through that time, and just the unknown, and that's what it was for us, was the unknown for our whānau. So we had Mile, and lucky for us, my husband's job was, his competition that he plays in Japan, it was put on hold. So we actually got the first 3 months of Miles' life together as a whānau. And I know a lot of people don't get that. So to have my husband there for the full 3 months and be together, that was awesome. But then knowing that he was going to leave, it was hard to be present. So the mindset of being present was really hard, knowing that he was going to be gone and not knowing when we were going to see each other again and be together as a whānau. So yeah, that was really hard, but I think at the time what kept me going was that we don't have many opportunities to come home these days. So being home for the time that we were, I was just trying to make the most of it. So I wanted to get a job, I wanted to get back into netball, back into any sport really. And I think having those things on the side is what helped me get through it, and also having my whānau there. So in hindsight, I look back on that time when we were here, and I'm really grateful for that time that I had here, even though we're away from Miles' dad, my husband. It was actually really cool to spend that time at home and do lots of things that I love again. Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. And I'll tell you what, I mean, we got to be with you a lot during that time too, and you handled that like a boss, but you had that amazing support, like your mother-in-law came with you, you know, like you had that wrap around to make sure that you could keep moving and doing those things that were obviously good for your soul as well, and your mind to just...
Definitely.
Yeah. A big thing I know for you, and a big thing for all of us, but sometimes we don't realise it, is identity, and really connecting to who we are, and not just who we are in a moment, but where we've come from and where our whānau have come from to get us there, and the values that we may not realise came from our history, and we sort of go, I'm kind, and you don't click to why you're that way. So tell us first, what does identity mean to you?
So identity has been something in the past that I've really struggled with, and that I've kind of only come to terms with maybe in the last 2 years what it actually means to me. So growing up, I was born in Wanganui. My mum's from Taranaki, so I was born there, lived there for the first few years of my life. Then we moved to Gisborne, where my dad's from, so he's from Ngāti Porou, Te Tai Rāwhiti, and we lived there till I was 8. And then we moved here to Hamilton. We didn't go back to either area while we were living here in Hamilton. I've lived here ever since. So I didn't really feel like I was from where I was actually from. I wasn't from Waikato, but I've been brought up in Waikato since I was 8 years old. So Waikato became home for me. But then obviously I moved down south, and I've lived in 3 countries ever since. So identity has been really up and down for me. And like I said, I've only really discovered who I truly am, where home is for me in the last 2 years. So what I've come to is that home is in my heart. It's within me. Wherever I go, I always try and create a community around who I am and what my values are, and obviously that's culture, whānau, and fitness is also a huge part of that. So wherever I've gone, I've always tried to make fitness or sport and create a community from that, and then I get a sense of home. But I find that, like I said, in the last few years I've found that home is within me, especially with travelling everywhere around the world with my husband and that sort of thing. I think it's nice to know that home is within me, and it's not just here in Hamilton where my whānau is, or if that makes sense.
Totally makes sense. Because maybe we'll talk about later, but environment, we talk about the physical environment, we talk about home, and we talk about sustainable environments, but it's actually an environment we create around ourselves as well. So, you can have a toxic environment around yourself where you feed into bitching and into gossip, into that sort of stuff, or you can create an environment where it's positive and kind, or
100%.
and you magnetize, and those people find you, and if that's the vibe you're putting out, then you find those people who are like, this is where I want to be, and that's how you build that community wherever you are. As I often say, I'm an only child, so I've adopted people along the way as my brothers and sisters, and as aunties and uncles and everything else, or adopted grandparents, because mine passed away young. But you build those people, that community around you who you would do anything for, and vice versa. But it doesn't matter. I mean, I'm Hamilton born and bred, so I can't say that I've done what you've done and travelled, but I've certainly found that tribe and been like, you guys are my whānau as well. So it totally would. In Japan, I mean, I was looking, when you had your training group over in Japan and stuff, you find those people, and you build it. And they'll love you for that. That's
awesome. But I guess the hard thing about that is knowing that at some stage soon we're not always there for the longest period of time. So leaving those communities and the people that become whānau in those communities is always really hard. But I mean, whatever comes next, I'm always excited for that too, and to create that again is always exciting. So and it
means if you go back there, I mean, you stay in touch. The magic, I know we moan about social media all the time, but for the good, you can keep in touch with those guys. Distance becomes irrelevant because you can just jump on a Facebook Messenger chat, group chat, and have a yarn.
Social media is great like that.
So with moving, I guess, how did Mile get her name would be my first question. Is that a story in there?
So, yes, there is a story in that. So obviously Wharenui and I have lived away from home for a while now. What is it? 5 years? Yeah, 4 or 5 years. So when we first moved to Japan, I had this real sense of wanting to go back to the East Coast from where my dad's from, and just reconnecting with my roots, going back to my marae, going to see whānau, all along the East Coast, and Wharenui had never really seen that part of where I was from. So when we came back, I think it was in 2019. Yeah, 2019, I said, babe, I want to take you back home. I want to reconnect and go back home, go visit the urupa, go see my grandparents, that sort of thing. And I want to show you where I'm from, like properly. I know you've been there, but you haven't really seen the East Coast. So we came home. We only had a month at home before we had to go back overseas again. And we did a 4-day trip along the East Coast, and we went through a small town called Ōmaio. And we were like, oh my God, that's a really cool name, eh? And at the time we were talking about having our first baby. So anyway, we looked up what that meant even before we were pregnant or found out that we were pregnant, and it meant the month of May in like 5 different European languages, I think.
Wow.
And then the week after we found out we were pregnant, and she was due in May.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we were like, oh my gosh, that name, that's it. Like, if it's a boy, it's a girl, it's going to be Maio. Like, I didn't like the Maio.
Yeah.
Wharenui did, but I was like, no, I don't like the O in front of the Maio. We'll just make it our own sort of thing. And we came up with Maio, and then we looked up what it meant. It meant peace and tranquility in Māori. So Māori to English, that's what it meant. And then in those European languages, it meant the month of May, and we're like, it's meant to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's lived up to peace and tranquility, hasn't
Yeah,
she?
she really has. Yeah, I mean, she's very energetic, don't get me wrong, but otherwise she's a very content, peaceful little baby. And I hope she stays like that.
With her mother's fierceness.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's how we came up with the name Maio, and we actually conceived her on that trip. So yeah, so I mean, it was just meant to be.
Yeah. She's going to be amped for that story one day. No, Mum. I was conceived up north. They didn't think they could. And my grandparents took my parents away on a trip, and I learned a little while ago that's where it happened. I was like, that is like, where was Grandma and Granddad when it happened? It's not okay. Oh dear. So with the travel, how do you instill, or how do you share that identity with Maio, as you know, because she's not always sort of around her grandparents or that extended whānau?
Yeah, so when I was hapu, Wharenui and I obviously had conversations around that, and so I speak fluent Māori, and Wharenui speaks a bit of Māori. His parents speak Māori every day. So we both come from very cultural whānau, and being overseas, there was no doubt in my mind that I wanted Maio's first language to be Māori. We were both very open to her learning Japanese while we were there, which she didn't really get the chance to be honest. But I think from us, it was just making sure that we were speaking Māori to her in the house to start with. Obviously, she's still very young, but we have plans to keep going overseas for the next few years, hopefully. I think it starts with the language for us. So making sure that we're not slacking, because obviously him and I speak English to each other every day. So we're just, I guess he keeps me accountable when I'm slacking and not always speaking Māori to her, but since she's been born, we've just gotten better and better, and it's just it's a no-brainer now that when we speak to her, it's in Māori.
That's so beautiful.
So having her come home and being around the whānau, we all speak English in the home, but yeah, when it comes to her, I'm like, we have to speak Māori to her.
Yeah.
And my nephew as well, he goes to kura kaupapa, he's been through kohanga, he's a huge help as well with that. He speaks Māori to her, he only knows how to speak Māori. So yeah.
That's so beautiful.
That's where that cultural side and identity, I guess, for her, that's where we've started anyway.
It begins.
Yeah.
And as you said, your identity is where you are in your heart, you know, like, so that's all that history is sitting there wherever you are, it's there. Yeah. I'm a qualified early childhood teacher as well, and so that linguistic, that first 5 years, by you doing that, you're setting her up so beautifully for the, you know, like they can learn 8 languages before they're 5, just from being exposed. So we find that communities come in all shapes and sizes, and it can be from a knitting group to a coffee group that gather, you know, once a month, to antenatal, to marae, to all those different communities, and for each of us it's different. I don't believe that anybody could be like, oh yeah, everybody's part of that community, other than like a community of however many million in New Zealand, you know, fighting COVID-19. But tell us about the communities that you connect to. So we know about those, you know, your sports ones, but is there any other communities that you really, I mean, marae or anything that you really connect to as part of your village?
Or obviously besides like the body fit community recently coming back, since that gym opened at the start of the year, I wasn't there for the opening, but I was a part of it in terms of being one of the foundation trainers. But that coming home and starting work again there, that community is huge for me now. I don't fully know all the members yet, but again, like, yeah, I feel like that's a bit of a big part of being back home now for me, is being part of that body fit community. But in terms of other communities,
we went there and Corbin kicked our butts.
Yeah, she told me. Did you guys do a cardio hit or? Yeah. Oh yeah.
And she one of our staff was like, damn, and wake up call, and like he has changed his whole fitness regime now because he hadn't realised, and he's like, no more, that's not going to be me again, because he was like on the floor like, oh my gosh.
Well, that's good. That's good that she made.
Yeah. But it was also really positive, and like all the high fives afterwards. But I mean, we were total randoms in there, and everyone was just encouraging, and it's a really, really cool community what they've got in it.
Yeah. And Corbs is a huge part of that. She's an awesome head trainer.
Yeah,
she definitely knows how to kill you too.
Shot Corbs.
Yeah.
Oh God.
But besides that community, I mean, there's a huge rugby community. Obviously, that's my husband's job. Whether it be online or connecting with wherever we go, there's always a rugby community. And we have our own little whānau community here.
That's a lot.
Yeah. I can't think of anything else. Exactly.
Yeah.
And I guess that all comes under that whānau community as well for me, as the friends and
Very cool. So like I said before, like environment is not just physical, and it's who you're surrounding yourselves with and the energy that you put out into the world, and sort of comes back to you at the same time. But being back in Aotearoa, and particularly Kirikiriroa, because you know, got to give Hamilton its props.
That's right.
What kind of environment are you trying to create for Mai? So you're speaking to her at home. Is there anything else you're doing in terms of building that environment around her?
I think like becoming a mum. So becoming a mum in the last year, I've had a whole lot of realizations. So parts of those realizations is going back through a bit of childhood trauma. And I guess with that obviously comes generational trauma and also like generational behaviours. And so I guess in the last, especially while I was over in Japan, so I guess the last 6 months, those are a lot of things in me that I have identified. So at the moment, doing a lot of work, reading, etc., and practicing every day with Mai, just those positive affirmations, and the parent that I want to be has never been more clearer. So I think with me, it's an everyday thought as well with her, just making sure that she is always confident in who she is. For me, that's huge. And for me, growing up, I wasn't always confident in who I was. And depending on who I was around, that could change. And looking at that now, that's not what I would want for my daughter. So there's a lot of those sort of things, though, that I've come to realise being a mum. So those things there, I know we can only do so much for our kids, but I think the main thing that sticks out for me is just making sure and giving her that confidence to be who she is and do the things that she wants to do, knowing that she doesn't have to be anyone else for anyone. She just,
I so know what you mean. When you literally change persona when you walk into a different group of people to fit into these different. Because if I do this, they're not going to like that. So that's been a huge learning curve. I think as we get older too, not that you're nearly as old as me, but you learn to just go, if you don't like me, why did I try and fit into that square for so long? I don't fit here, and I actually don't like what you guys are doing either.
100%.
And I don't fit. Why was I trying to do anything other than but it's confidence. It genuinely comes down and giving yourself permission to just be you. And you're giving that's what you'll do as a mum, is just encourage her to just soar as whoever Mai is.
Exactly. So I that's something that I think about every day, and that I want to be I guess more conscious of doing with her.
What sort of things are you reading to?
So I read this book. So I read it maybe 4 months ago now.
That's right. You can tell us.
I can't remember what it's
okay.
called.
It
was really good. It was just about obviously childhood trauma and how that can affect people as an adult. So it's really helpful for me as a person and my own experiences as well as parenting.
And sometimes you don't realise that those things were things.
Until
you read something and go,
exactly. And they just happen like subconsciously and you had no idea. So just being more aware, self-aware for sure, in the way that I communicate to others around her, the way that my whānau communicate, the way that whānau and I communicate in our marriage, like just those sort of things, and going forward for her. There's a book, there's an author called Glennon Doyle. Have you heard of Glennon? No.
She's got a book at the moment called Untamed, and it like went nuts across the world. Like every celebrity's reading it and doing book club about it. But she talks about home being her castle. Because they had quite a lot of, she had a lot of stuff happen, then she had more stuff happen, I guess, without going into too much detail on camera at the moment. But she had to make home safe for her kids. Because, and when I say safe, it was what people brought in. So it could be her mum, and her mum loves her with all her heart, but brought fear in, going, have you read this? Have you heard this? How are the kids coping with this? I imagine at school this is happening. And so she was creating this storm that may not have necessarily been there. So they had to create this castle with a drawbridge and a moat. And there had to be this mental picture of, if you come across and you come in here, our values are X, Y, and Z. And a couple of the rules here is that we're not talking about A, B, and C. And we bring love. And we know you love us, that's why you're doing this, but it's actually harming us. It's not working for us. So when you come in, this is what home is for us. This is a safe place. We want you to come. But if you can't not bring that fear in, you can't come in.
Yeah.
Because we need to protect the kids,
Yeah.
and we need to create this environment where they know.
And I love that. I love hearing stuff like that. Like, so for me, like, boundaries have always been really hard for me. And again, that's just like a generational behaviour, is having a lack of boundaries in my whānau. Not being able to say no, people pleasing, that sort of thing. So so what you just said just then, like, that's having good boundaries to protect, you know, what you want for your whānau ultimately. And that's something I'm striving for now, and that I hope to be able to do consciously. Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Untamed.
Yes.
Read that one.
Yeah,
And another one
Untamed.
too is that would be probably really cool for you is Dare to Lead by Brené Brown. And she talks about values, but only choosing 2 values, but they're values that you non-negotiable. Whether you're at work, and it's that fitting into different environments and do different things. It doesn't matter if you're at work or at home or at netball, whatever you have. If it's like mine is connection and usefulness, and if I don't have those in any of those environments, I'm not in the right place. Or if I realise, oh, why am I feeling off? I actually wasn't useful today at all because I sat back and I didn't actually put myself into a position to be useful. And then I'm unhappy. Here we go, here's the click. Like, but that could be integrity, it could be trust, it could be respect, like any value that you wanted to put in there, hardworking, you know. But you'll know too, because everyone's like, I've got like 15, but you have to narrow it into these 2, and then you can really quickly assess situations of your yes no's as well. Like, do I want to do that? Does it fit with these 2 things? Actually, no, it really doesn't at all. Cool. Well, that is the finish of our pillars, but then I've got some quick fire questions for you.
All right.
Which I love.
Let's go.
All right. 3 things that made you smile today.
You?
Aww.
My daughter.
Right back at you.
And had a big smile after my workout this morning.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. The rest of us will be on the floor, but Ngawai smiling.
Well, walking out of the gym, seeing the sun coming up, I was like,
Yeah, beautiful. Favourite books?
Look, I've only just recently got into books about 1.5 years ago. The one that I mentioned earlier that I don't remember the name
We'll
of.
get that off you later. Do you know, I've never been a reader. I have to read for a purpose. I couldn't just read like...
Oh, me neither.
Like a romance novel. I couldn't do it. But if there's like if I'm learning leadership or whatever, I'm like, give me.
I'm the same.
Yeah,
I'm exactly
now.
the same.
But I never was. It's probably like the last 2 years that I'm really like...
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, I want to get better at reading books that I actually want to learn from what's in there.
Yeah, they keep you turning the page. You're like, oh, what's the next?
Yes,
what's
exactly.
The next thing? 3 favourite smells.
3 favourite smells. Like any guy's perfume.
It's becoming a common theme.
Yeah. Food, like I love food, so just food smells. I don't know what in particular, but and I love the smell of petrol. That's a weird one.
No, again, that's
and vivid, like pens.
I remember being at
Don't worry,
school.
just like a little bit, not like not hard out.
You're good. You're good. What makes you laugh?
What makes me laugh? My husband. Yeah.
Nice.
So best thing I love about him is he makes me laugh.
That's good. Life would be a really long, like
I know.
Humour, I reckon, is so important.
Yeah.
First job.
Oh, like had to pay tax on, like that sort of a job.
What's my measure here?
Working for Cancer Society, doing the undercover Sun Smart show. So I was the narrator. It was like my summer uni job.
How cool!
I'd go around to like daycares and kohanga and even primary schools and perform like a 15-minute Sun Smart show.
Oh my god!
With Cody in the suit, like Cody the turtle.
Yeah, Cody the turtle.
Yeah, that was my first proper job, I would say.
That is the coolest first job. Normally it's like supermarket, petrol station. I was
we did like five shows a day.
That is so cool.
For like 2 months, yeah. Yeah, it was a pretty cool job, and I did it with mostly my friends for the first summer, so it was fun. Yeah.
MC on the mic.
All around Waikato too.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Ngawai on the mic, let's go.
All I remember is slap, and rap. Yeah, that was fun.
I guarantee we'll clip that bit and it'll be the bit that we share. Go to pick me up songs on like a feel good playlist.
Bruno Mars, like, I got this feeling inside my bones.
That's not Bruno Mars, man. That's
Is it?
Timberlake.
Oh my god, Justin Timberlake, yes. Justin Timberlake.
Favourite concert?
Favourite concert I've been to will have to be Beyonce. To go watch Beyonce in like 2014 maybe. Yeah.
2014, nice.
Yeah.
Any
amazing.
hobbies you have?
Yes, I just recently got into baking. So, well, in Japan, I got into baking, which I loved, and I love playing tennis. That's one of my main hobbies is playing tennis. Yeah.
Nice. Are you part of a club or anything for tennis, or just
No.
playing?
Well, I haven't been able to get into a club in Japan. I couldn't because the language barrier was just way too hard.
Yeah.
But every time I come home, my mother-in-law and I always play.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. What does a lazy day look like for you?
A lazy day. Oh gosh, they don't really exist anymore. But I think just staying inside all day, but maybe watching Netflix. Obviously, you can't really be lazy when you're a mum, can you?
Beautiful.
But ideally without Mayo around in front of the TV watching Netflix.
Snuggled up. And last one, qualities you love about yourself.
Qualities I love about myself. I can always find the good in, I guess, shitty situations. I always see the good in people. And one more, I guess my work ethic.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah, work ethic. Yeah.
I love that you are. Everyone else is like, and can't come up with anything. 'Cause, you know, true Kiwis that we
Very
don't
humble.
say.
Yeah.
Those are beautiful ones. Well, thank you very much for having us in your home today, and thank you, Mael, for visiting us today as well. How good. Please have a good watch of this and take away those things, particularly around identity. I think that Ngawai's given some beautiful, beautiful meaning to holding identity inside your heart and wherever you are that comes with you. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we'll see you again soon. Ka kite.
Ka kite.